Most buyers assume the French Alps market gives them endless choice, but when you look at what people are actually buying, the picture gets much, much narrower. In the next 20 minutes or so, we break down which resorts and property types are getting the most attention this season, what buyers are really prioritizing, and the patterns that help you avoid wasting time on the wrong options. By the end of the video, you'll have a much clearer sense of where demand is strongest, what makes certain properties sell quickly, and what to focus on if you're planning to buy in the French Alps. Mark, how are you?
Yeah, really good. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, all good. It's been a really good season. Lots of snow. People are happy, and you can tell that people are kind of coming off resort, and then ski property is very focused in people's minds.
Yeah, for sure. So where would you say on site is the most inquired ski resorts for this season? Where's been the most popular?
Yeah, so basically we've spoken to hundreds of people this ski season, and obviously from our site we get a lot of data of kind of inquiries that come through, and you can see the most inquired ski resorts. When I spoke to someone yesterday, and this kind of prompted the question a lot. Most people, regardless of price, are still looking at the flagship resorts. There are still, if you take the 10 most popular resorts that people are familiar with, the likes of the Three Valleys, Méribel, Courchevel, Val Thorens, and around that area, Espace-Killy, Tignes, Val d'Isère, up north, maybe Morzine and Chamonix. These are still the resorts that get a lot of love and attention. The other ones, it's not to say that the other resorts or the up-and-coming resorts like Les Cibers, La Toussière, Saint-Solin, which we've done a lot about, but it's kind of the overflow when it's subject to price if people want to have more affordability. But even before people know the prices of the flagship resorts, it's still a lot of emphasis on that. I don't think that's ever changed in the last 30 or 40 years, where people have just always flocked to these well-known places because they just cover the biggest ski areas. You know, the Three Valleys is the biggest ski area in the world, so people want to be part of it. It's a bit of a kind of like a status thing, isn't it? Everyone likes to buy a penthouse. Everyone wants to own a property in these resorts. So I still think there is more demand. I can give you some examples. There was a property that launched in Tignes that we did a video the other day about 25 units. Within about 4 weeks, 23 or 24 have sold. Just because it meets a lot of people's price point, and it's a resort where people are excited by. So, as I said, most inquired ski resorts are still the big flagship ski resorts, and that's familiar with Austria, Italy, Switzerland, France, Japan. Yeah,
it makes sense. They're popular for a reason, right? And that's why they're still popular this season. So, talking about that development specifically, I guess it leads on nicely to our next question, which is, what are buyers actually looking for?
The main criteria of what people want in ski resorts is of paramount importance. Developers with a very good track record, and actually more often than not now, 99% of the time, a wellness center. So spas, pools, all that kind of stuff. And then if you stick to that criteria, then what comes with it is the low notary fees, 2.5% for new build properties in France, and the 20% VAT rebates, and the ability to rent. Now, the rental is actually important for what people are looking for. They don't want to be necessarily fixed into a contract. They want to have the flexibility to rent it when they want to rent it. And if you get those, 8 elements? If you get those 8 elements, that's where pretty much the market is driven. Don't get me wrong, there is loads of property resales, etc. But in terms of real demand, the developments, I've said it for ages, the dream is bigger than reality. And when you get into a new development, you can dream big and you imagine what it's like and that reality. And obviously you've got the stage payments as well, which are great for people.
I guess that goes in nicely into what's most popular, lifestyle, or is it investment? As in, what are people more, you know?
I think there's such a merge with these kind of things, right? It's there is a lifestyle choice, but But even from a lifestyle choice, your lifestyle choice is generally what the investment is going to give you. And if someone wants a little bit more bang for their buck, if they want to be 10 minutes away from resort because they want to get a bigger property because they've got a bigger family and that's what they can afford, there still is a market for that. But in terms of lifestyle, it's still the same as the investment. So when you're buying into lifestyle, you still want the wellness center, the ski in, ski out, the new build property. And that is actually the best investment choice for you. From an investment point of view, you can get your capital appreciation on new developments, and you can get your ROI that pays off your mortgage, or ROI if you were paying cash. A lot of it is for lifestyle. It's about, cooler climates, nice weather, clean air, fresh water, lots of exercise, being in the mountains. So I think there is a bit of a merge for stuff. So even if you're buying for lifestyle, there is an investment opportunity and vice versa.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you said, if you tick boxes on the lifestyle, usually it goes across to what people want as from a rental home as well.
Some people ring up. The thing is, some people ring up and say, I want a 5-bedroom property. I don't really care where it is because this. That's not necessarily the best investment because it's the overspill, and there's a smaller funnel of people that want to go down for it. If you look at the development I just mentioned in Teen, it sold out within 4 weeks. Most resale properties don't sell out in 4 weeks. They take because you're looking for a very specific buyer. It's not to say that they don't sell, but it's just that there's just not enough eyes on it. So these new developments just sell a lot quicker.
Yeah, for sure. And we spoke about this quite a lot. It's an emotional thing around buying a ski property, right? It's people, connected to their childhood or with their families, and
Yeah, of course. And even whether you've got 200,000 euros to spend or 35 million, people are still renting them. They're not. 99% of people are reclaiming the VAT. It's very, very rare that people don't, regardless of the budget that you have. So when you're trying to do that from a rental perspective, you still want to be in these excellent ski in, ski out locations. And when you're there as a lifestyle thing, you still want to be in these ski in, ski out locations. So when you get these amazing resorts with these new developments in the best locations, of course they sell very quickly because there's a lot of demand for it. Momentum in real estate is key. You know that as well. It's just, if you have a development of 400 units, it's very difficult to get that momentum going through it. You sell 20% and you've still got 320 units to sell. Like it doesn't tick over enough. But when you have these smaller developments that have got maybe 10 to 25 units and stuff, once that momentum builds, it's very easy then for people to go, we need to act quickly here, because in each of the developments, every unit is slightly different. Some are slightly better, some have slightly better views. So to get in early for these things, that creates a momentum. Everyone's then fighting for these units. I mean, how many times have we had this year, Jake, where people have kind of gone to resort, said, yes, I'd like to buy the unit, give me a week, go back in a week, and it's sold. And then they go, we'll just pick another one within the development. Well, there isn't one.
Yeah, it's happened a few times this season, hasn't it?
Missed out. And that's through us. Imagine that through every agent, like that fight for these. Everyone knows when a good development comes on the market, because everyone's like, you need to get into this. This is insane, right? And everyone knows the same thing when a development gets in. You go, it just doesn't really hit the right points. It sells, but just a lot slower.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's you're not the only person that's looking at this, especially in the season, right? And we've had that 2 or 3 times this year where people are like, there's 1 or 2 units left, and they go back and they're getting their mortgage sorted out and a couple of other bits, and by that time it's already gone.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, very crazy.
So to us about altitude. Is obviously climate change, is high altitude a necessity?
Yeah, it's funny. Like at the beginning of the season, I think we kind of discussed it about high altitude, and we even changed our website a little bit to sort by properties in altitude, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000, etc. And the majority of people that came back was 1,500 meters, that pretty much wanted to get in some altitude. They were worried by climate change. And now we had a few times this season we've had these absolutely ginormous dumps of snow where people can't even get their cars out of resort, and they're going, now people are like, oh, we don't need 1,500 meters. It's quite funny, isn't it, how it swings around? But actually the funny thing is that yes, people still look for altitude, but during the season, actually a lot of that has changed into dual season resorts. The increase in people that are looking for resorts of maybe lower altitude because they're only going to spend time there in the summer. Like they've got no intention of skiing. The interesting point that we have at the moment is it's very difficult to find the balance between the two. So if you take one end of the spectrum of Morzine, for example, 1,000 meters, easy access up to Avoriaz, but people would say that was too low for skiing. Access to the Porte du Soleil, amazing 600 kilometers of piste. So if you choose Morzine, it's lower and it's considered more of a summer resort now with easy access to skiing. If you go to the other end of the scale and say, look at someone like Tignes, for example, that's anywhere around 2,000 meters, then it doesn't necessarily have the summer part. So there isn't a resort that's somewhere in the middle, unless anyone that's listening to this can tell me something that is perfectly met at 1,500 meters that is really pushing the summer season like Morzine is. I don't really see it. So sometimes in your tick box of, let's say, 10, you've got to make a choice of whether you want to go for the skiing or the summer. It's quite difficult to get that kind of middle ground as such, Maybe somewhere like Maribel would be an option, or somewhere around the Three Valleys. I think, as I spoke to someone recently, is sometimes for the summer you only need a base, because traveling around the Alps in a car is glorious in the summer and there's not that many people. So you can access a lot of resorts very easily anyway. So maybe that's the balance.
Like you just said then about going in the summer, and when's the best time to be actually looking at properties, would you say?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one. We've had, as you know, loads of people that have just gone over to resorts on impulse, going like, I like that property, I'll be there in 2 days, hold it for me, and it's kind of, and it's kind of, it worked in that sense. I think the problem is that a lot of the main resorts are rented, hence why new developments get sold very quickly. In the summer, you'll have a more impact on resales because there's less rented. The timeline for most people is quite long in terms of buying a property. So I think this year you're getting a lot of, and if it's not a new development, you're getting a lot more high-end, ultra high net worth individual buyers looking to probably go in the summer to get a feel of the resorts and all that stuff. I think at the moment the interesting point is that a lot of stuff is selling quickly, and that will slow down in the summer. But also in the summer you have more access to resale property, so it just goes in phases throughout the season.
Would you say ski property is becoming, or is, a safe haven for buyers, investors?
Yeah, I think so. I think that what we've seen over, I think the ski property purchase was always there, wasn't it? Even pre-COVID, but I think post-COVID it's really accelerated, and a lot of factors have kind of pushed people to it. I mean, I always have the conversation about post-COVID and the market. We were deprived of space, and the kids were on the iPads, and no one could get out, and we couldn't travel, and we were just, everything was just restricted, wasn't it? And the Alps is just the complete polar opposite of what people experience. It has space, it has exercise, it has adventure, it has cooler climates, it has health, it has wellness. Like everything that we were restricted for is now being offered in the Alps. And I think that's really accelerated people's mindset to say, this can't be, especially for a second purchase, this can't be, imagine if this happened again, where would we want to be? We want to go to the Alps and let's just jump in there, and then we can be free to do whatever we want to do. And I think now, again, in the last, let's say, 18 months, there's been a huge amount of diversity, I guess, between the rich and the poor, and a lot of that's come from Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai. And with those three, we're getting very hot climates, and now they want cooler climates, and they need to diversify their portfolios. So again, it pushes you back to the Alps because everyone loves skiing. I mean, how many times have we spoke this season, Jake, about the fact that everyone loves skiing? I was at my son's school the other day, and I'm not joking, everyone in their separate sections was talking about the runs they've done, the après ski bus. So everyone, it's really on people's heads. So I think with post-COVID, what's going on in the world, people getting very, very wealthy, there's a lot of demand for ski properties, and it is an exciting purchase. Like no one, it's not a forced purchase for people. When we speak to people, you don't have to sell it; they already want it. The difference is whether you can find it. That's the difference. You're not there going, you should really buy a ski property. It's so good. They're like, we are aware. We just this is the criteria. Find it for me. So again, if you push down that funnel, and then the interesting point is if you look at these resorts independently, Maribel, let's choose Maribel example. In the greater scheme of things, in the world of eyes looking at it, it is tiny.
Yeah,
it is so small. And if you're pushing all these people into these sections, of course you're going to have momentum and demand, and obviously it's all going into these small areas. So price is going to surge, all these kind of things, because so many people are looking at it. Each of these resorts are relatively small to be able to do that. So yeah, that creates a lot of momentum. So yeah, is it a safe haven? Yeah, absolutely. And people are diversifying their portfolios. Just to kind of finish that, we have said since I started SnowOnly, there are generally 4 things that wealthy people want to buy, and that's a boat, a ski property, a city property, and a beach property. And it's just one of those elements.
Yeah. Just to wrap up here, well, I guess what would you say the main, or maybe for both of us to be answering this one, what are the main questions being asked by buyers, and how can we help as a group, SnowOnly group, if you will?
Yeah, I think the main thing is the buyers come to me to talk about the ski property, and we have all our connections across the Alps and wherever it is that we can kind of send people to and say, this is the best person to speak to, etc. This is the best developer. So from a property point of view, it's relatively easy. But parallel to that is obviously with SnowOnly Plus that you're running, Jake, is that we get so many questions on tax implications of the VAT. When is the VAT going to be rebated? What are the tax on my rentals? Should I set it up as a UK company or a French company? How do I make the purchases through currency? So the property side is easy. Like you just have to find the property. But obviously all these people have the questions of, how does this kind of side of it work, which is where SnowOnly Plus obviously comes in, and you've got your contacts to say the same as the property side. If you want to speak to someone about tax, this is who you need to speak to. If you want to speak to someone about currency, this is who you need to speak to, which you've seen obviously throughout the whole season.
Yeah, of course, and it's working really well. You know, we partner with some really good companies, obviously, because they're an extension of our brand. So you know, over the past months and years, making sure that we always partner with really good professionals. And one thing that's coming up from my side a lot more, as you were saying, is the tax side of things, because there's been so many new build purchases throughout the season. How does that look? What's the best structure? Or, you know, these sometimes wealthy people have existing structures in place. So what's the most tax efficient way of buying that ski property? And like you're saying, should I do it through the UK? Should I do it through France? Should I raise funds in France? Should I raise funds in my own country? All these things have an impact on the purchase, basically. So yeah, we're seeing that having the information as soon as possible and having the ducks in the row before going out there is something that's working really well for us. And we can usually help with pretty much any part of the buying process, whatever anyone needs, really.
I think the thing is, we've seen people that have been, let's say, shopping around and trying to do it independently, and then they're coming to you, and you accelerate them to the people that are right at the top that make the decisions and stuff. So one email from you, and bang, they're speaking to the people that can really help you with this thing, instead of going through 5 stages before you get to this person. That's the acceleration, and that's why we're here, isn't it? You can already see the amount of people that we've helped that have kind of jumped into us from the ski property side, and then we've accelerated the process for everything else, and they've come out the other side going, well, that was pretty easy. Otherwise, you do it independently, it becomes quite laborious, quite time consuming.
Yeah, for sure. One that stands out to me is we were dealing with a couple of doctors, and obviously doctors, they've got shifts, they both work long hours, and they didn't really have a clue and have any connections and have the time to be able to look into everything themselves. So they were super appreciative of all the services and us getting things done, like turned around within, I think it was a week, they'd done absolutely everything. Even finding the property, right? So, it just shows you how quickly we can move.
Yeah, I would just like to finish off with just saying there is so much useful content on the SnowOnly Plus YouTube channel in regards to tax, currencies, wealth, insurance, no tears. And if you are in the process of your journey of buying a property, it's definitely worth looking at a lot of those videos, and then you can just reach out to Jake and he will make a personal contact. From the property side, please feel free to reach out to me at any time.
Perfect. Thanks for jumping on, Mark. Always a pleasure.
No worries.